That's awesome.
Did you knock the dust off?
You want me to open it for you before we get started?
That's
A
fine.
whole nother one.
All right.
Scott, do you want me to open that for you
No,
before we get started?
I got April coming back.
Now we move into the next portion of our program. Welcome back, everybody. So we're gonna move up item 7 right now because Ms. Sizemore has to leave. But before we do that, I wanted to get, input from the board members real quick. Believe it or not, Christmas is coming up, and traditionally, we've done a Christmas dinner for the board members. We've done it. We've been doing it for a number of years over at the high school with the Culinary Arts Department. And if we're going to do that again, we need to get on their agenda to get a date. So does the board want to do that, or do they want to go somewhere else, change up the venue a little bit?
Well, I'll say last year the meal was absolutely fantastic that we had over there. Yeah, I mean, it was spot on, it was great.
All right, so I guess I'm hearing we want to go back to the high school and the culinary art. I like
Sure.
supporting them.
I do
seeing what
too.
they do.
I thought that was great, and like I say, the food, the whole event was fantastic.
What about the ambiance, Chris? The ambiance good there?
Some of it was questionable,
Okay.
but,
I have one caveat that we might not want that in December. FFA made the best homemade ice cream I believe I've ever eaten during homecoming.
Okay,
But that will be in December. Ice cream may not
You
be.
should absolutely eat
ice cream's good 12 months out of the year.
Hey, they were
it doesn't
awesome.
matter.
I don't discriminate against ice cream in December.
Just wear a big coat,
So-
if you're gonna get cold, wear a big coat.
Anything, anybody else have any other suggestions? I mean, we're talking about Christmas dinner back at high school.
Oh, I like those ones.
What? Chris was saying, you don't want to go to the culinary thing again
Yeah,
this
the
year?
culinary arts department, yeah.
talk about it.
I don't know if they're available on the weekend,
I
so,
mean, even a Friday night is hard for me.
okay.
Since I can't bring the kids. it's
So
hard for me to-
Melissa, can we check and see dates and a Friday? Jennifer suggested a Friday. I don't know if they're available, so we'd have to check on that. So,
Maybe not if there's basketball games.
You good with that, Miss Melissa?
Yes, I will check with, them and see, so the date's in Friday, y'all wanna try for the first, I mean, does anybody have anything going on like that first Friday in December?
Don't forget that's gonna be bus driver breakfast.
We
We haven't discussed it, but that'd be the
yeah.
plan.
And I live a boring lifestyle, so Fridays are actually good for me.
You're not boring.
No Friday night action
I
for
think
me.
last year, during the home basketball game,
Yeah, so we'd
Yeah.
have to check all that, so.
Yeah,
we
because
got done, when we got
So
done
maybe we
eating,
can
we
get
went to the game.
some proposed dates and see,
So we really only have the 5th or the 12th. Cause the 19th is putting it too close for them. They're out for Christmas and it makes it too hard for them to get the food
Right.
and get everything boxed up and put up for.
Okay.
So it would either have to be the 5th or the 12th of December. So,
To do
to,
Friday?
to do a Friday.
I don't think it was last couple of years. I mean, like I say, it was after that home basketball game last year, and that was pretty good, because when we got done,
yeah.
we went to the game.
well, I
Okay.
think Jennifer was asking for it to be
It
on
doesn't
Friday,
have to be.
so, she could attend, I mean.
Well, it's not urgent we decide right now, so maybe
Okay.
you can get some dates together for us.
I will work on
Send
that,
out an
yes, sir.
email and everybody can,
Yes, sir.
so I just wanted to, I know it's strange to start thinking about Christmas already, but we're at that point.
And I have one other thing that I just popped in my head. For the fall convention, so the shirts that you're supposed to wear on that Saturday, like, Mr. Hansert has on the one we did last year. So what is the consensus of what you guys would like? Do you want a polo shirt? Do you want, what, Miss Jennifer?
I want something not ugly, because I'm not gonna wear it if it's ugly. Sorry,
Okay.
that's real mean.
Okay, not ugly.
So what are you saying, Jennifer?
So,
And if I deem it not okay, I ain't gonna do it.
So maybe, Miss Jennifer, could you like find something
Yes.
and bring us a couple of like different things and we can
Yes.
get sizes?
Y'all are
Okay.
gonna be so happy. It's gonna be the best shirt that
And
you
then
ever.
I can have
I hear that we're wearing Hawaiian style shirts this year.
well,
as long as it's not
supposed
lacy
to
or frilly, you know.
represent now our school.
You know, I saw a lot of representation at that place. And
Yeah, we
some
can
of
do
it
the
was
silk
formal,
shirt
some
with a
of it
little
was more
lace on it,
casual,
yeah.
And the more casual, it just seemed more fun, to be honest.
I like the Hawaiian idea with a CC and
I would wear
palm
that
tree.
with
I would wear
something
all
else.
CCs all
We'd
over.
stand
palm
out.
trees. I'll wear that in a heartbeat.
I have been given things that just should never be worn by someone like myself, ever, 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 and I've refused, and I've been the only one that didn't wear it, so I apologize, I'm not a
That's
team
probably
player.
my fault. I should have
was
consulted
your
with
fault,
you.
Tom.
Okay.
So
I'll
Miss
take the
Jennifer
blame.
can Look for some shirts that might be.
I'm
for-
really excited about this, thank you.
All right.
All right.
I'm
We'll
more than
stand
happy to
out.
let you be in charge of that.
I like it.
You know, make a fashion statement this year, right, Jennifer?
And that shirt looks good on you, but it did not look good
Well,
on
thank you, Jennifer. I feel a little better now. I'm
Well,
starting to get
yeah,
worried
yeah.
for just a second.
Kind of hard to
Well,
find
we have to go
something
to
like
counseling
that,
or
everybody at the table.
Since Vanna
All right.
modeled it.
All right, so, all good. So, Ms. Sizemore, so we're on item 7, we're moving that up, because she has to leave. So,
All right. Yes, thank you. Okay, so we have started the piloting tutoring program at North Coffee and New Union. We currently have 15 students, so we have 10 students at New Union and 5 students at North Coffee. We have some of the best educators in the district that are helping getting that off the ground. We have Miss Talley, who is doing that at North Coffee, who's an academic coach, and then Michelle Howell, who's a literacy coach, doing it at New Union, alongside Sarah Duke is her teacher's aide. Mr. Hargrove had wanted a teacher and an assistant with 10 kids was the goal. And so we have that going at New Union. We're still working on that at North Coffee. At North, they're focusing on 4th grade, and at New Union, they're doing 3rd grade. The teachers have done a phonics and word reading survey, so they're really focusing on those reading skills that students have gaps in. So they've identified those, and we have a data tracker that we're keeping up with. It's really exciting for me to be able to look at that and kind of see what the teachers are doing with the kids each day, kind of seeing, what their progress is. And I'll share that as we move on. Right now, we just started on September the 8th, so we have very little data. I'm trying to see what else. I have all my notes from the coaches because, they're very thorough. They looked at TCAP scores to determine which students would be part of the tutoring group. So these students who were coming to tutoring scored in the below or approaching category on TCAP last year. So that's how they decided to pull those kids.
so this is by invitation only, I understand.
Yes,
Okay.
and so they reached out, the principals did most of the reaching out to the students. And so they reached out to the students and said, we have this opportunity for your child to come. And it was kind of on that needs basis and then what parents could pick them up, or, had the transportation. And so they've been able to fill those seats. And I think that's probably the most impactful thing is that it's very specific. And so it's not just they sent out a letter and said, who wants to come? They were very intentional about the students that they have chosen to come. Students that they see potential that are eager to learn, motivated in the classroom. Those are really the students that they focused on to select. And mainly they're focusing on reading, of course. They're doing phonics instruction, they're doing some read aloud, and just really focusing on getting students to read because, that's where most of their deficit is them independently reading. So that's the biggest push right now. Questions?
And this is really a pilot program. Now, my understanding is we were going to also roll that out to Hickerson this year?
Hickerson is shown interest in, we just need to get it aligned and organized. Our teachers that are teaching the after-school coordinate with their
Okay.
teachers during the day. So there's not, things are,
Yeah.
I guess
So
the-
I think that's been, very nice because the academic coaches are up here every Friday afternoon with me and we do, some coaching, collaboration. And so Janice and Michelle have been able to sit down together and align what they're doing with their students. And so because Janice is a math coach and Michelle is a literacy coach, I mean, they've both taught elementary, so they know all subject areas. But for them to be able to sit down, and Michelle has really kind of helped guide Janice in some of the, reading strategies that we've really implemented the last couple of years, and using the curriculum, because they are using our adopted curriculum in tutoring. So it's not like students are going all day to school and then going to tutoring and doing something different. When they go to tutoring with Miss Howell and Miss Talley, they are using materials from Wonders, which is our adopted reading curriculum, and they're using materials from Foundations, which is our adopted phonics program, and they're using some things from UFly, which is another phonemic awareness phonics program, to really fill those gaps. And so I think that's important for kids, because they're not going to school all day with their classroom teacher, and their teacher's telling them this one thing, and then they're going to tutoring, and the tutor is saying, oh, but let's do it this way better. So they're collaborating with the classroom teachers, looking at assignments in class, saying, oh, they didn't really do well in this comprehension strategy, and really addressing what each kid needs.
And this is really a pilot program we're trying right now. We're kind of tweaking
Oh,
it.
yes,
and
we're very
making
new.
adjustments. Yeah, but we're eventually going to roll it out, and it's really designed to take students from the approaching to proficiency, make that jump.
Yes,
So
that's the goal.
addressing Robert's concerns over there.
Well, with this being a pilot program, is it still following the, like our regular after-school program? Are the parents still having to pay the $5 or?
No, sir.
Okay,
sir.
so this
No,
is,
sir.
this
So-
is something totally different.
Yes, sir.
So
And-
this
And, I'm sorry, go
No,
ahead. No,
This is
it's your
totally
time.
separate. So the students stay after school, and tutoring is from 3:15 to 4:15. And so if the student needs to stay for after school, then the
Then-
parents can pay, and they can stay until the end of after school. But otherwise, they're getting picked up at 4:15 by their parents, and the tutors are taking care of that,
Well,
taking the
I was
kids
just
to the-
wondering if that was, if they were paying for it, or what, what the deal was,
Yes,
if it
that's-
was considered part of our normal after-school program. It's just a pilot.
Our hope is that after, we're gonna monitor it for a year and hopefully grow our program and, make it a little more school-wide and system-wide. And hopefully, we will be able to find grants to take place of paying for our teachers, which our after-school is helping pay for our teachers, but that money will run out at some point.
Right.
We don't start until September. Sadly enough, it takes us about a month. And we're no different than any other elementary school in the state to get benchmarked, figure out where exactly our students stand academically. And that gives us a month, and those children to get a month under their belt at a school, just going through a schedule, feeling a little comfortable by a new grade level. And it allows us to use their data to kind of meet them exactly where they're at, so we know where they're at on that continuum.
I think it's a great idea, and I hope at the end of the year, we see a tremendous improvement with them, reaching the goals that we want.
That's our goal. I sent out an email to Janice and Michelle earlier this week and said, just send me some notes, about what you guys are doing. And Michelle Howe sent back, our goal is for these students to become proficient on TCAP. She was like, that's the end goal. And I know that Michelle did this last year at New Union. During the excellence program, she tutored some students there, and I think she had 5 students, and I think 3 of those scored proficient on TCAP that weren't, expected to be proficient. And so I know that when you're very detail-oriented and you have the right people doing the tutoring, I feel like we will see benefits of that. But it's about getting the right people.
And I think one of the big differences that we're doing now is we're coordinating with that child's classroom teacher.
Right.
I mean, it's just an extension of what went on in that classroom ELA or math class during the day.
And
So,
also coordinating across the schools with, New Union, North Coffee, working together about how they selected the students, what materials they're using, how they're spending that hour of time. So I think it's just being a team.
and that will help and probably get Hickerson program running a lot quicker because you've already had people trod that ground.
Right, you got experience.
Got a plan.
Sounds to me like this is what we need to be doing with the after-school program. I mean, it sounds to me like that's what I thought that program was gonna be, is what you're doing.
Yeah,
And
And I just don't think we-
targeting the kids that
yeah.
need it first.
And I just don't think we ever really got to that point. I think that we were doing some of these things in the excellence program after school, but just not as fine-tuned
Right.
as what we're doing now, and really focused on instructional strategies and not just homework help. Because,
Right.
you know, we have kids who just need homework help, but it goes beyond that. It goes, because kids really need help in like skills so that they can be successful in the classroom. Because the goal is for them to be doing grade level work, you know, so we can't spend all of our time working on skills that are below their grade level. We really have to find ways to meet them where they're at so that they can be successful in their grade level material.
Can you see this blending together so that what you're doing is what the entire program is about, instead of, maybe just babysitting?
I would think I think that's Mr.
That's our-
Hargrove's goal.
that's our
my
goal.
Because, the county's funding it, and that was the purpose, is to, bring these kids along.
Yeah.
And this sounds perfect for what we thought we were getting.
Oh, I think Mr. Hargrove has a vision of like a 3-tier after-school program that he wanted to discuss at some point.
And part of that, is just providing our parents with the service of, the child's may play kickball one day and may not need academic help, and we allow them supervision in our schools and provide our parents with a
Right.
service as well. So we want it to be multifaceted and
Where
grow
it's-
this.
where
Yes, ma'am.
everybody can benefit from it, every child.
But the
You
mo-
want it if they
yes,
need
ma'am.
to.
But the model that we've come up with is very academically focused, and is focused about moving those children and supporting those children that may need just a little additional support.
Right.
Well,
I
I
do
love,
have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I love the idea that you're not so much separating the kids out, but all the kids don't need this.
Right.
And so when I went into the excellence program, which there was a lot of things doing really well, but all the kids were in there for homework help. And I thought, some of these kids don't really need it, but there's a percentage that need that focused one-on-one or a smaller group so that they can be pulled forward. So I really like the tiered approach.
Because I think, like what Mr. Hargrove was saying, you have pretty much like, maybe not just two clusters of people, but you have students and parents who just need after-school care.
Right.
Like, they just need somewhere for their kids to go after school while they're working. And then you have families who need really intensive support so that their kids can be successful.
Right.
And so you have those two different pockets of kids. And so I think that the goal is how do we merge those to where we can provide both, so that our community has that, where you have safe after-school care, and you also have enrichment or support tutoring for kids who just really need that part.
I also understand that a child has to sign up ahead of time and pay for it. In other words, if I had a child that needed to go to stay after school, if something came up that week, my child wouldn't be able to stay.
I think that's how the after-school
Yeah.
program is working
And
this year,
that's-
is they're having to pay ahead of time.
Right, I'm hoping in the future that possibly could change where they could pay that day or whatever, because, we're supposed to be helping the community, and there's times when the kids might need to stay and they haven't planned for it the week before. I did have one parent that was kind of concerned about that, because they said they couldn't plan ahead knowing what days their child would need to be there.
Yeah.
And you might, that's just something to think about.
I think our calendar would be settled. If we continue this process, we'll have a calendar for our students that are tutored for a
Yeah.
parent. Hey,
Right.
they know
They
when the
know
school
it
year
every day.
starts, we
Yes.
start. It will be like our school system calendar.
Right.
Hey, we're not having it on this day. This is Thanksgiving week. We may call it off that week or something, and really kind of publish a calendar for everybody to follow.
And those kids would have a set schedule.
Yes,
while
ma'am.
the others could.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
not have to be set every week.
Prorate some
Right.
things.
I would love to see, now I don't know how feasible this is, but quite often when the kids are behind or not up to level, then they're maybe not necessarily getting, the parents at home may not know how to help them. I'd love to see a part of the program go where parents can come in from different times and you can instruct them how to best help their kids with where they are at home.
Yeah.
So
I
that it's
like
not
that.
all the
Yeah.
teachers trying to get them
'Cause
caught
you could
up.
almost do like a parent university or something where
Exactly.
parents could come in and you can provide strategies and things for them.
And I would love for our elementary schools to start looking at that, especially next fall. We want to prepare, especially in our foundational areas in kindergarten, first and second. We want to be able to equip our parents and have parent engagement events at our elementary schools. And we're coaching the parents,
Exactly.
on
Train
ha-
the parents on
yes,
how to
ma'am.
help their
The-
kids.
helping with math, helping with reading. These are some things you can do every night. I think those are in the plans. We just haven't taken that next step yet.
Yeah. I'd love to see
Those
that
are
as a
real
part
productive
of,
nights if
Yeah.
we organize them correctly. Very valuable.
and not every child's gonna need that, because if the kid is doing up to grade level and above, those parents may not need the help, so it's almost like you gotta focus it towards these parents whose kids need that extra boost.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for Ms. Jonah?
I will say that we're excited about it. I know that the teachers who are doing this have been really thankful that they have the opportunity to do this tutoring in the afternoon with the students. Michelle Howell calls it her happy hour. She was like, this is the only happy hour that I, do, that I participate in it. And so I just thank you guys, thank Mr. Hargrove for giving them that opportunity, because I really feel confident that we'll see some increase in these students' scores based on this tutoring. I'm pretty confident in the teachers.
And in a perfect world, we would want 10 students per group. You have a teacher in there and a assistant in there, and want them for multiple grade levels. So you may have 5 or 6 groups going on after school in serving that grade level. We have goals. You want to share our kindergarten goal for all of our schools?
Oh, the K-Town goal?
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am, the
Hargrove calls it.
K-Town.
We had kindergarten teachers up here, I guess right in August, right at the beginning of the school year, and Mr. Hargrove came in and he's like, what's a goal that we can have for all kindergartners in Coffee County? And all of the teachers agreed that it should be that all kindergartners know all letters and sounds before they leave kindergarten. And so that's a lofty goal, and, some people may think, oh, well, my kids knew all their letters and sounds when they went to kindergarten, but that's not the case district-wide. We have, kids coming in that, can't write their own name, or, are really struggling with those basic skills. And so as a district for kindergarten, all the kindergarten teachers are on board with making sure that all of their students know those letters and sounds before they leave kindergarten and go to first grade, which is very important, because when they get to first grade, that's when they really start to read. And so if you don't have those basic foundational skills in kindergarten, it makes it harder.
First grade, CVC, I mean, we'll continue to build. Our math coaches have been tasked with grade level. What do we want our kindergartners to, what do we want skill our kindergartners to know before they reach first grade in math? And we don't want it broad, we want it very focused, very focused. If you're the second grade teacher, hey, you have one thing you want that first grade student to come into your math class knowing. What is that skill? Is it skip counting by twos? Is it, depending on whatever it is, can you count 1 to 50? Whatever that task is. So I've enjoyed working with the coaches. They're very eager, they're very excited, and I think we're heading in a good direction.
It might be something for the after-school committee program to consider then, is some kind of long-term funding commitment, say 5 years at, just say $500,000 a year from fund balance, and then backstop with the grants that you can pull in, maybe you don't need all that money, but then we take that out of, unrestricted fund balance, restrict it, and then use it over 5 years.
Yes,
And that would be something the after-school, program committee would have to work out, but that would be a great in my opinion anyway, that would be a great use of some of that fund balance, unrestricted fund balance money we have, because this sounds like a great program, because we're doing exactly what Robert was talking about early, moving them from approaching to proficiency, and what a great goal. If we can accomplish that in any significant percentage, then, we can really pat ourselves on the back, I think, yeah.
If each school, if we can move 10 to 20 students, each school building, you think about how that's going to affect that those charts that Dr. Blessing showed us.
Exactly.
So,
What a great goal, so.
Well, the thing about it, you give them the tools to learn at an early age, that's just gonna keep growing. So by the time those kids get to middle school and high school, they're already proficient, and they're just, then they can be above proficient. So I mean, if we can instill those tools and goals into them, the earlier the better.
yes, sir. I think the fallacy is, well, third grade, we have this third grade retention law. Our struggle doesn't happen in third grade. Our struggle happens in kindergarten, first and second, because in third grade, you should be reading to learn instead of learning to read. And right now, we're focused on testing grades, whereas if hopefully as we expand it, we'll start hammering the foundational piece. So all our third graders, when they enter third grade, they are much better readers than we have. So that's our goal. You got to have a good foundational program in place and hammerjack those standards and those expectations and those skills before they're ever going to become a great reader in third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade on.
Yeah, it's good, because I think we got away from that for a while. Even whenever me and you went to kindergarten, we knew how to tie a shoe, and we were doing sounds and stuff like that in kindergarten. And then for a while, it seemed like for years, they got away from just being a babysitter, and
Right.
I know that was a long way, but that's good to hear.
It probably was at a church too. It
It
wasn't in
was,
a
yeah.
school building.
Yeah.
Kindergarten was
Yeah.
not in a school building. It
Yeah.
was
It was at a
in
church.
probably a local church somewhere.
Yep.
Ms. Sizemore, I'm glad you're over this program because you're the one that needs to lead it. You're the instructional supervisor, and what we're funding as a county is for instruction, and you do an excellent job. And I
Good job.
really have faith in you
Oh, well,
that
thank you.
this could work.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you for your service.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys. If y'all have any questions or anything, just reach out to me. And if y'all ever want to go and visit, let me know, and I'll go out with you guys, and we can
That
go
might
out
be a
and see
great
it.
idea.
Yeah.
One other thing, can we include them on an IPG walk?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've been
Do
doing.
you mind briefly explaining just?
You told me to come.
I did. I'm sorry, Jonah. You're good at what you do. I want to share that.
I know she needs to get out of here,
I
but
understand.
I still have time.
Okay.
I have to be on a webinar at 2:30.
Okay.
I don't want to talk for an hour. Okay, Tennessee has an instructional practice guide called the IPG, and it's just a walkthrough tool. We have it for reading, and then we have foundational skills in math, and it's just it's a one-pager with just some good instructional strategies that you should see in a classroom. So we have been doing a lot of that through the grant work with NIET in our 3rd through 5th grade ELA classrooms. But this year, as a district, the elementary principals all agreed that we would do that district-wide K-5 in all of our classrooms, ELA and math. And so over the last month, I've been in 69 classrooms in the district. So I've been to almost every single class. I had to miss some today because I was planning on doing this. But so it's me and the academic coaches and the building level principals that are going in and doing these walkthroughs. And so it's all strengths-based, so we don't go in and say, oh gosh, y'all need to fix this. So it's very much we go in and say, you know, what are kids able to do? And so it's really students focused. So we go in, we see we just say for 15 minutes in the classroom, we've been debriefing, pulling out some bright spots and just really focusing on this is going really great and how do we use this one good thing that's happening to move the teacher further along. And so it's just been really good to see all the different things happening across the district. And I know that Mr. Hargrove has, we were at North Coffee a month ago, and he was in some walks there. But if you ever want to do that, it's really just, it's great to see because it's just like a little quick snapshot. You're in the classroom. One of the best things is you get to just hear what kids are saying. And so how are kids answering questions? And we've been in kindergarten classrooms and we're like, oh, it's just the second week of kindergarten, but kids are able to do so much already. And I think it's just the best part of my job is getting to go into classrooms, and I would always welcome any of you guys to go with us and just kind of really see what's happening out there in the classrooms, because it's easy to say, oh, well, this isn't happening or this is happening, but until you're able to really see with your own eyes what's happening, it's hard to answer questions, because people in the community ask me questions about, well, my kid goes to such and such, are they doing this or that, and just you don't never really know what's happening until you see it with your own eyes.
Her excitement excites me because that's why we're here. That's the magic. And just being in there for 10, 15 minutes and watching the magic happen is so rewarding. Doesn't mean we're not trying to get better, because that's why we use the IPGs, but
And
it's good stuff.
We're able to use that. We're meeting with all of the elementary principals and academic coaches. Will be together on October the 2nd, where we'll look at all of the data that we've collected across the district, and then we're going to identify trends about, okay, this is what we're seeing across the district as an area that we could really support teachers in, like questioning. So we're not seeing teachers ask questions about qualitative features. And so just being able to do that as a district, it really helps us use our academic coaches to really hone in on professional development. So let's say that across the district it's a trend in 4th grade in math, for students to model their thinking. Well, we're not seeing a lot of that. So the academic coaches can really spend time on staff development days to pull those teachers together and really show strategies about this is how we can use our iReady curriculum to provide opportunities for students to do this.
And as a building level principal, and tying this in with Dr. Blessing's talk a while ago, he talked pretty broadly about standards where you're getting into areas that are more teacher focused, learning focused, and principals are able to match people up with strengths within their building. We learn better from each other, and if we have a teacher in that building that does a great job with questioning, hey, Ms. Sizemore, I want you to go watch Ms. Smith's class
And we've been able to do that. We've done a lot of peer-to-peer observations across the district last year, and starting that up this year too, to where building level administrators and coaches might, go into Mr. Hargrove's class, and they're seeing that he's doing a really great job of showing student work. And so then he's going to invite this other teacher and say, let's, me and you go together. We're going to go in here and see how that's working in the classroom. So I think that that's been another big benefit of doing the IPGs, is being able to identify teacher strengths and then using our academic coaches to help with those peer-to-peer observations across the district. And it's not just within their building too. We have teachers who are at East Coffee that are going to North Coffee next week to watch 1st grade do phonics. I mean, so it's just across the district, things like that we've been able to identify as needs and do those kinds of things with our coaches and building administrators.
It's a big elephant, and our coaches are doing a great job with our teachers of eating it one little bite at a time, and I appreciate their work.
Boy, this is the stuff that energizes. No
Yes,
Monster
sir.
Energy needed. I'm energized right now.
Yeah, but I'm really blessed. I have 4 academic coaches who are amazing, and they really make my work easier. And so do the principals and assistant principals at the buildings, because you can't really do this kind of work that I have to do as a supervisor unless you have people that are on your team. And I think that that's the biggest thing, is just all trying to work together for the greater good, which is students, because that's why we're here. We're here for students, and just bringing everything that we do back to them.
Right, and our job is to make sure you get the funding you need for the program. So,
Oh, you're welcome. Anything else, Mr. Harper?
I don't think so, unless they have any other questions
All
for
right,
Ms.
thank you guys
Jonah.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're still waiting. We got a 2:00 engagement, so I'm going to introduce item number 6, and then we'll circle back around to 4 at 2, and I'm just gonna, I'm gonna throw this out, and and it'll probably be something that'll have to go back to our our inaugural Innovation Committee meeting, but I wanted to throw it out to the group here, just so, we can kind of get some idea on it, and just throw out what the proposal is. A lot of this could change a little bit, but the idea would be to, keep along the idea of innovative pilot programs by providing innovation grants to teachers that would be for improving educational outcomes for education purposes, maybe up to $2,500 each, and we can, fiddle with that amount. And maybe we take an initial fund this program through initial $50,000 from fund balance, and we put that, and then the Innovation Committee develops a in-house grant application that teachers can apply for to come up with a pilot program, and then we can try it. If it doesn't work out, well, we spent $2,500, we haven't committed a lot, but if it does, then there's something we can look at rolling out system-wide. So details to be worked out, but, that's the general concept here, is to, let the teachers come up with some ideas, and if they got a great idea, it would have to be approved by the Innovation Committee, but we can grant them a little bit of money to develop these pilot programs and to improve educational outcomes. So that's kind of the concept there, and that's kind of what, something the Innovation Committee can look at doing, that and other things. I know there's some other things that we already got on the agenda there too, so any thoughts on that while we're ticking down to 2:00?
I think it's a good idea because, teacher comes up with has a successful idea, then, then that's something we can implement district-wide, improve, it improves the learning of our students, which is what we're here for.
Right.
Do everything we possibly can to make them better.
And the teachers are where the rubber meets the road, so if they're getting an idea on how they can improve the educational process, give them a little bit of money to develop the program, see how it works out.
Now, will this be for all teachers from K through 12? Is that,
I think so. Yeah, the details would have to be worked out, but that's kind of what I'd anticipate, so.
I'm very excited about this program. I've got a chance to meet with one of the teachers who had some suggestions about the program this last week, and she was very excited, and she said the teachers are getting excited about the program because it says to them that we care about their ideas. One thing I would like to see is, just in talking to her, I realized how valuable our teacher input is going to be on this committee. And I'd love to see us have the principals select one teacher from each school to be on the committee, and then that would give them a representative inside their school they could go to and say, I have this idea, what do you think? Do you think this one would get passed? How do I fill this out on this paper? How do I make this happen? And then someone who's kind of overseeing the program as they're doing it in each of the schools and brings reports back to the committee on how it's going. So that was just one of the ideas I'd like to see take place with this committee.
Sure. Be something we consider. It might
Yeah.
make it a kind of an unwieldy committee, though, with that many people.
It would, but it would also give us a representative in each school.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with Beth, and one of the same teachers approached me as approached Beth, but I think they're wanting to have some input into what goes on. Is that kind of what you got, Ms. Hinch?
Yeah, there'll be teachers that, and if the principals pick their teachers that do more innovative stuff within the classroom already, then that'll give us teachers that have ideas just coming into the committee. So principals know who in their schools are doing the out-of-the-box stuff.
Right.
So yeah, that's something I'd like to see. And really, 10 or 11 of us.
Yeah.
I mean, we get stuff done around here, that many, so.
Well, yeah, and when we were at New Union the other day, you know, I mean, there was some interest in that too, when we talked about that, so that might be of it, you know, because, you know, we're here, we're the board, you know, we don't always get that input, so having some direct input would be good, because we need to listen to the teachers. They're where the rubber meets the road, so.
And if the teachers have ideas, they go to their representative in their school. And
Right.
she brings the representation to the whole board, I mean, to the whole committee. And so I think that would be,
Outside of instruction, I mean, my mind's starting to race a little bit. I really think about our high school kids and maybe a CTE program, having something for children, some kind of project to go on, our middle schoolers as well. And then outside of the instruction part during, after school for our elementary schools, maybe there are really neat enrichment things that get kids interested in something else outside of what we do in a normal school day.
One parent mentioned to me, this will really blow your mind going along with what you said and you whatever, that I don't see this happening, but proposed that they may have a subcommittee of a team of 3 or 4 students. I don't know what that would look like, but having a subcommittee asking the students what they propose, some of their ideas, whatever, to share with whatever. So I just thought I'd toss it out to you. Really blow your mind.
well, that could happen in each school under the supervision of this particular representative for that school, and that could be brought back into the committee again. So,
So, what does everybody think about the amount, you know? I just threw out $2,500, because that seems like, you know, a good amount to kind of get a pilot program going in a classroom, but
Well, I mean, basically, we're talking about buying the supplies that are needed. I mean, I think to start off with, I think that would be a good dollar amount, and if we say we need to increase it, then we can increase it.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be a fair number, assumption to start with, and, you know, let's just say if we get if we get benefits for the money that we're providing. You know, I mean, we can always increase it or decrease it, you know, if we say that, you know, hey, you know, the materials and supplies are only gonna cost us $1,000, so we, you know, maybe cut it down to a $1,200 grant, you know, in the
Yeah.
future. I mean, that's just, but we gotta start somewhere.
right. And
But I
then
can
we
also-
have a certain amount, we set aside a pool, and then, you know, that's our limit for the year, but we could vote to increase it if we needed to. I
Right.
mean, we don't know where this is gonna go, so it's. we're
And
kind
some
of
projects
taking
may
risks.
be, Mr. Cordell may have a $2,000 grant. I may only need $1,000 for what I'm doing.
Right,
Right, have it set up where if you don't need all the money, then it stays in the pool,
yeah,
you know, and then, you know, kinda like you know, it's just a bank. If you need a little extra, then, you know, well, so-and-so, you know, they didn't use all of theirs, so we've got this, we can slide your way to help you buy materials or, you know, equipment, whatever it may be.
yeah. And we'd probably have to have a in-house grant application where they detail out a budget, you know,
Oh, yeah.
or at least preliminary, and a description, and it would have to be approved, you know.
Right, the goals of it, everything.
Yeah,
I think as a committee, we don't need to be overstepping the boundaries of the instructional supervisors that's over each increment, like elementary, middle, and high school. They certainly need to be a part of the committee because just like Ms. Sizemore, we just got through listening to how in touch she is with the teachers in the classroom, and we certainly don't, as a board, don't need to be making decisions without input from, they need to be in part of the process, because they, I mean, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's-
yeah.
it's just- I don't want to get into the job of starting new programs and providing funding for it just because the board likes it and we think it's good. It's got to be proven and that it goes through the proper steps. You see, and I'm sure that's what was meant to begin with, but.
That was something I was worried about when
Yeah.
I first heard about this committee. It felt like an overstep to me, so
Well-
I'm glad that you.
I think Mr. Hargrove can talk about, the makeup of the committee, because the innovation committee, that would be.
And I
seeing
agree
that
with Ms.
and
Yentz on the
Where you're,
teacher. being
Teacher,
involved.
you have teacher input, which, they're gonna report back to their principal. I think our directed, tutoring is just a wing of the innovation umbrella. That's just a portion of it. I think we can build other blocks under it, as well. So,
but I think the innovation committee was going to consist of board members plus.
plus
adminis-
teachers,
Yeah, well,
or,
and
yeah.
you were talking about,
So, yes.
Ms.
So
Gardner.
on there is, Ms. Cole, Ms. Sizemore, and Ms. Garner, and the board chair, whoever that's gonna be,
Yeah.
for that committee.
So Ms. Sizebore's not on there? What about the high?
Yes, she is on there. So that's who.
Those are instructional supervisors?
Uh,
Ms. Garner's an instructional supervisor?
No.
Well, she
no,
does
no.
the excellence.
She
Oh, I
does-
thought Ms. Sizemore was over the excellence program. That was my point a while ago. Ms. Sizemore is doing, that. I'm hoping that can be combined so that that excellent program is what she was telling us about, because I think that's what we envisioned the excellent program to be, a program that is bringing these kids up from, into the proficiency area. I guess
so
we're talking two,
what would
three
you,
different
what
things
would
here.
you like to see in the way of, people on the?
No, I'm just, that was just some concerns I had, is that if we don't watch, we are not equipped to advise anybody on instruction as far as, we've all different areas of life. And that we need to make sure that we're going through the proper channels before we're providing funding for something in the classroom. It needs to be approved, through the proper channel, is my thinking. And maybe that was part of it to begin with.
I think so, and I think that's what Beth was talking about too, is because you're getting input from the schools. And, so you're not doing something, you're forcing something on them, you're.
Okay,
you're
give
doing
me,
something that fits
I
in the
guess I'm
program.
just wanting to get an example of what you're thinking that we could fund.
Well, if a teacher has an innovative classroom program, I don't know what that would be at this point, but if they've got some methodology they want to apply and it's not currently necessarily part of our program, is, you can provide some funding to do that. And
Isn't
Well,
that
I
what
think-
Ms. Sizemore was doing?
No. No, hers
I mean,
was
that's their
more
job.
tutoring, in the after-school program. This is giving the teachers a chance. For example, we see a lot of it at Hickerton, where teachers have come up with an idea for a greenhouse, or they're teaching in different STEM ways through different uses like that. I know that the teacher I went into, she had a big hydroponics tower in there, and she was teaching plant growth and how you don't have to have soil to grow plants through this different hydroponics, different things that they say, we want to try this program. It's giving teachers a chance to expand some ideas they might have to teach their kids in a new and innovative way that they might not have the funds for.
Well, could we not do it could we not have these grant funds available, but let the teacher go to the principal or the instructional supervisor with what they're proposing in their classroom and saying, look, I'd love to, and not us as a board be saying, okay, this is, let it go through the channels of the school, but the board provide the funding for it if, of course, they would bring it to us and present it to us for the funding, but let all that process take place within the school setting and going through the
Well,
principal.
I think Mr. Hargrove is going to be the chair of the programs, the head of it,
Chair of
from
the
what I
Innovation Committee,
understand.
yeah,
So anything would be going through him.
What, do you need us? That's what I'm saying is, do you need a big committee that's going to decide it what are we here for? Let me give you an example. The teacher had a really good a program going in her classroom, and she needed funding for it, and it was working. She goes to her principal, or he goes to the principal, and says, look, is there any way I can get some more funding for this? The principal knows it's working, goes to Ms. Sizemore and talks about it, and then goes through Mr. Hargrove, and then Mr. Hargrove comes to us, and the teacher could probably present it to us and say, look, this is what I'm asking the funds for. I'm just talking. I'm not saying this is what necessarily needs to be done, but I'm just thinking, I just don't want to get into the process of determining instructional programs in the classroom as a board member. I think, but I agree that the grants is a good incentive. How we go about it is just.
Yeah, and it's just, right now, it's just kind of a suggestion, and it's kind of like, how do you work it out? But the idea is to foster innovation in the classroom, so however you do it, we as a board are the one that needs to provide the funding, the additional funding for that. So you do it through, an innovation, an in-house grant, do you do it some other way, like you're talking about, but it's to really let the teachers.
But it's still be an in-house grant, it's still gonna be a grant, no matter how you.
Right, yeah, you're gonna be moving the money around. We're gonna be responsible for approving that, so however you do it, there's a number of ways to do it, like you point out, so, and I think it's just kind of getting the discussion going, but how can we, take the teachers may have some good ideas, like Beth mentioned earlier, and how do you provide them their support to foster and develop and innovate, so I'm open to however you do that, so this is just a kind of a point to get the discussion going, so.
Mr. Ballard, maybe our committee just figures out what that process looks like.
Yeah,
And then we can bring it in front of the board. Hey, this is what our group talked about, and this is what we're proposing. It won't be perfect. Gain any other kind of input, and it's just
Right.
the next step. And
Yeah.
maybe a committee with some of you all, as well as our building, involved together on it. We just come up with kind of a process.
yeah,
If I apply for a $2,000 grant, I have to provide my rationale. I have to provide a budget. Whatever the hoops are, because the devil's always gonna be in the detail. Maybe we get into that.
yeah. It
Well,
just-
it's like,
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
it's like when we have any other committee, the board is there to come back to the board. So if we have to vote on these different programs, if somebody from the board is in there listening, they can say, I think this is a great program that's been approved. It's like finance committee. We're supposed to come back when we make raises and say we approve, this is our, so it's just, for one thing, it's a good way to represent ourselves with the teachers, to say we're interested in what you're doing. We care about what your ideas are. It's just that board representation. It doesn't mean we're deciding what they are, but it means we're making our presence there in support.
But that caveat, Ms. Frida, that we have our school people in on that committee is essential. We want Jonah part of
Yes,
that. We
yes.
want Ms. Cole part of that. we want
Principal's part of it.
principals, yeah, input. Does that sound,
If we have a representative from each school and they go back to the principal before they even present it to the committee, that would kind of put the principal already in the loop, and then they bring it and present it to the
Well, pretty much anything that you do with the school, they pretty well have to have the support of the principal
Right.
before they reach out for any kind of grant. If you don't, it really doesn't need to happen. You need to have the principal's support with it.
Right.
So I would think that our teachers would go to our principals first anyway, before they even
That would be
started.
expected.
Right.
Well, and if you're doing a, an in-house grant application you come up with, there's a place for the principal to sign off on. it,
Correct.
So, because there has to be buy-in every step of the way, because if you're doing something in a school, obviously the principal has to
Correct.
buy in on that, so, yeah. Okay, I just wanted to get that discussion going, but I know we got, these guys are here and we got somebody waiting that's going on vacation, so let's launch into the old stuff.
Okay, this is the Hickerson and also East Coffee. With Hickerson East Coffee, we've got to kind of figure out where we are heading. We received the enrollment projections from Harpeth. Wold has brought in some ideas. With us, we have via, gosh, I can't even think what it's called, but virtually, we have Von Dirks coming in from wherever he's at. He's on vacation and jumped in with us, so I appreciate that. Then over here, we have Jacob Cherry and also Steve Griffin with Wold. But ultimately, we've got some information. The things that we did with the study with Harpeth, now we need to start having a direction that we are going, and that's where we are. What are we going to take to the county commission? What are we going to ask to move forward with? And Vaughn, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, because I think you had a few things that you had pulled together, and we'll start the discussion from there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Calvin. Everybody can hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
All right, now I'm gonna try and share a screen here if I can do this, and,
And everybody just kind of work with us, because Vaughn's worked with several virtual programs, but I don't know that he's actually done Google Meet, which is what we use. So he's learning some with it as well. But it looks like you're already getting it together. I'm going to click this off, okay?
does that sound, everybody can see that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so in terms of, where we're at right now at this, sorry.
I'm going to try to take this off. Well, maybe not.
Maybe move it out of the way.
You had Harpeth come and give enrollment projections to you, and this is sort of the summary from where they're at. And they broke it down by K-5, as well as 6, 8, 9, 12. But we're looking at an elementary issue, and you can see there that they've got enrollment on it to 2035, just below the 1,800 student number. But that's for your entire K-5 population, and we're looking at East Coffee and Hickerson. So the real issue then is, so what does that mean for what we do for the buildings? And I want to go to, in their report that they issued.
Hey, Vaughn,
there's-
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what you're clicking on your screen is covering up the slide. So if you can move it over, put it over us, because we don't need to see
Gotcha.
us, but you
Yeah,
see what I'm talking about?
Yep, trying to figure out how to minimize that. There we go.
Yeah, that's doing it.
How about that?
That's fine, just, yeah,
That's
works.
Okay. So there's a couple of things in the last paragraphs or the last page of the report that they point out that I think really focuses in on what it is that you're looking at with these two buildings. And I've highlighted a couple of the areas in here. They said while Coffee County is expected to grow over 10%, the school-age population growing over 13%. Once you take out Manchester and Tullahoma City schools, that changes significantly for the remainder of your school systems. They expect your growth to be just over 5%. Now, where is that is the next component to this. Well, a 5% growth rate, they believe is defensible. It's not going to be even. Specifically, they see higher than anticipated growth at Hickerson Elementary from currently expanded new subdivision in the zone, and they're seeing declines in enrollment in other schools, principally at New Union and Hillsborough. So that's right in the center and to the southeast, which remain below the pre-pandemic enrollment levels. Overall enrollment shows a net decline of 1% to start the current academic year. So it's going to grow, but currently where you're still at that pre-pandemic level. At the end of the day, the significant growth at Hickerson must be addressed in some fashion. They note that at the current 9% growth rates, it's just not sustainable. The building, if remaining as is, could be over 500 students by that point if it continues to grow at that rate. Hickerson's enrollment numbers appear to be on a growth trajectory for the next several years, and if it grows that rate over the next 2 years, it's going to eclipse the 300 student mark. So really, what you got there is you got New Union student population dipping down. They point out Old New Union and Hillsborough, but they cite New Union and say, and if they continue on their track over the next 2 years, going to dip below 250 students, and by 2035 could be below 200 students. And they make the recommendation, in light of these population shifts, it may be prudent to consider altering the school zone boundaries to balance the load of students across the system in order to maintain populations that are within capacity limits. So really, when we started this whole process, we said, how large of an addition do you want to have at these buildings, and what are we trying to forecast, which is why we did this. And we looked at the capacities of that. Both East Coffee and Hickerson operate in what we call a two-section model, meaning you have 2 of kindergarten, 2 of first grade, 2 of second grade, each of those buildings. Well, the other schools are operating at a 3-section model in most cases. If you had 3-section buildings across the district, the capacity of a 3-section building for your growth models is 390 students. And that would easily accommodate not only the students you have today, but up to 2,340 when your projections show you at 1,798. Could you leave these 2 buildings at 2-section to do that? You could, but you would have to do significant boundary adjustments. And I think that's the point that the HARPA study is making, is that it's not just these buildings that you have to take a look at. It's looking at the capacity across the district and how much space do you have. And Hickerson knows that they're feeling that pressure right now. That's clear. So I'm not a boundary person. That's not really in our purview, but I know how to look at boundaries and how to think about this in terms of rebalancing boundaries. With Hickerson growing, New Union declining, and Hillsborough declining, that's really putting the pressure between the cities, right where Hickerson is. The cities also separate Hickerson from the other boundaries. It isolates it from East Coffee, it isolates it from New Union, it isolates it from Hillsborough, and that you're not directly adjacent to it. The only boundary area it's directly adjacent to is North Coffee. So the New Union boundary, if you were going to look at how can you accommodate these students, you would need to increase the take-on students from North Coffee and Deerfield. North Coffee would need to adjust further south to take on students from Hickerson. In terms of what that would look like, you're really kind of rotating people around the map. North Coffee would shift down so that it could take some of those Hickerson students. Deerfield would move over so it could take the North Coffee boundary. North Coffee almost becomes West Coffee in that regard. New Union, the boundaries get larger to bring more students to that point, and East Coffee would shift up, which would leave Hickerson in more or less the size that New Union is now in terms of the boundaries. And that would be a way that you would take a look at this, but you probably also need to do the additions on there. And I think that's the big question, is what size additions would you have to do at these buildings? The question has always been asked, does replacing Hickerson with a new 4-section elementary school resolve the growth? It could. You'd be up at about 520 students at that point. It would be the largest of your elementary schools. It could help Hickerson long term, but it doesn't resolve the immediate issues of multiple buildings being under capacity for several years when you have a capacity that can accommodate that growth looking out for the next 10 years. Based on growth and decline data, reviewing existing attendance boundaries is likely needed, and that's something that I think you should discuss as a board. And if the district had the capacity for 3-section all the elementaries, it would easily accommodate the enrollment projections with boundary adjustments. So the recommendation that we have, again, going back to where we were before, would be providing equity additions for gym and cafeteria, which is where you started this project, and accommodate pending enrollment growth through additions for 3-section schools and boundary adjustments. You could take a look at just doing the 2 sections at these buildings and really do significant boundary adjustments to it. But Hickerson, based on that growth, you likely want to be looking at that 3-section expansion, which this would accommodate. And we've covered this in previous meetings to show how that would be done. By the time you finish with this, you would have equity across all of your buildings at your gyms, your music, your cafeterias, as well as your support spaces. The site at Hickerson allows you to do that. Adding a new elementary school here really isn't going to give you any net additional capacity unless you go with a 4-section building to accommodate that. And then you'd likely be overbuilt in this area overbuilt in other areas and right on building for this point. And you could leave East Coffee at a 2-section as well. You could say, we're gonna keep that at 2-section and wait and see what happens and just do Hickerson as a 3-section addition to the building. But you have that possibility for expansion in the future, and that site easily accommodates for that work. And these are all slides that we presented previously. I updated the budgets to take a look at what would 3-section be. Roughly adds about $4 million from what we were looking at before. And so if you look at the price of replacing Hickerson for an elementary school, we talked before that would be in the 35 to 40 million range. If you brought each of these buildings up to 3-section, your net capacity increases overall as opposed to one building for about the same price. So it gives you the additional capacity that you need at the buildings for the same dollar amount. And these are significant dollar amounts as well, I understand that. So mostly what I wanted to do is just talk to you today about, based on the information we saw from the enrollment projections and how we see this, how would you accommodate it? And I really do think it's going to prompt a boundary discussion for you as a board to figure out how to balance that capacity based on what they see. And the schedule still remains the same. It's probably about a 10-month build after design. And so whenever you would want to look at occupancy dates, we would plan that backwards from this point. And the only reason I asked to be on the agenda today is because I think that you've gone down this road to start. You asked us to take a look at how to make the buildings equitable. The question of enrollment projections came in, and this is where it stands in terms of how would you address those enrollment projections. Could you do it with the capacity of buildings you have today? You could with significant boundary adjustments, which is probably going to be part of your question. And with that, that's all the new information I have. I'd be happy to bring in a slide back up or answer questions or just be quiet and listen to you talk.
So if we did this with, well, how would that impact things without boundary adjustments, which is always going to be a challenging issue?
If you did no boundary adjustments, you're going to end up with New Union has a building that accommodates probably about 350 to 400 students, but would have less than 200 students in it over the pending 10 years if the enrollment projections are accurate. Hillsborough and East Coffee would, Hillsborough may decline based on that report, although they didn't get into the specific amounts. And Hickerson could be over 500, so even a 4-section building would be pushing the limits for Hickerson with that. So if you look out that 10 years, you're likely going to have to look at how to accommodate Hickerson no matter what, which would be at least boundary adjustments on that northern edge in some fashion.
People hate boundary adjustments.
I have a question.
No, nobody does. It's a horrible situation. I think this goes back to, if I'm not mistaken, 2010 is when you did this one.
And that was done back when Deerfield was added to the system.
Yeah, where are you getting the data that New Union is going to decline to 200? I don't see that. I mean, that, of course, New Union is the smallest district.
Report.
Well, common sense tells me that's not true. And also, I have a question about your data at Hickerson. They're in the same boat as anyone in the county right now because of the stipulations that there cannot be any parcels divided any less than 5 acres. So there won't be any major subdivisions in the next 2 or 3 years anyway, I guess, in the county. Are you accounting for subdivisions that are already there at the boundaries of Tullahoma? city limits, that their children are going into Tullahoma?
I
And
am
right
not doing
now-
any of that because we did not prepare the enrollment projections. We're simply looking at how building additions could accommodate the enrollment projections. That's a third party through Harpeth Research that did those studies.
And I shared what Ms. Crabtree, Dr. Crabtree shared with us the other day with the subdivision that was gonna be on, was it Cat Creek Road? Okay, so that was given to Harpeth, and they included that into their study. Ms. Yinch actually contacted me and I think Mr. Ballard about a subdivision that's proposed to go out in Hillsborough area. That was not included because it didn't connect to East Coffee or Hickerson, but there is the possibility of that one that's going in Hillsborough area.
Yeah, I took,
I'm doing 200 watts on Fredonia,
I took, and
And
I
that's
think.
New Union.
Yeah. I think what Harpeth, not to take anything away from Harpeth, because Harpeth is preparing something for what they had. They only can go by the materials that they have. But with me being on the industrial board, I took those and I compared them to ours and what our projections are, and they're way off. But that's, I'm not blaming Harpeth for that. We had over 550 jobs just in Coffee County added to us last year. And it's just gonna continue to get more and more. So, how do we accommodate for that? That's a good question. Harpeth can only go with what information that they have, and I understand that, and I don't think there's anybody in here that don't agree with that. But, if you look at what TVA has projected and what they have projected, they're two different. So, it's something that we need to really think about before we make a decision. Maybe looking at some other data, from something else, or that we can get from TVA, if we can use that, if they'll let us use some of that information or something.
Where are those people living at other than Robert subdivision? That's, if we've got the 5 acre, that's not gonna stop subdividing, but it's gonna be fewer homes. So where are those people
That's a good
gonna
question.
live?
there's not U-Hauls rolling into South County every single day. We've talked about factories and plants in Alabama, whatever, pop in and 1,200 jobs and this and that. We've got 2,000 acres out here expecting all of these plants and everything else, but we also have the same amount of plants and stuff that are stopping progress, that are not completing, that are not firing up and bringing things in. I can't tell you the full, I don't know. I can't tell you an opinion on this, because I don't feel like we're growing. I don't feel like we're gonna be allowed to grow around here at the rate that I think some of us think we're going to grow.
Okay, going back to what Vaughn said, one of the things was looking at was the infrastructure of our buildings. Now, I was one of the first ones, and I will still say, it always scares me for us to do a remodel and work on it, and not, when we get done, say, we only have one classroom empty that we can grow into. To me, that's, I know what I thought whenever I've heard people say that. And it's not a good thing. But is it something that we need to look at doing the infrastructure, not adding the extra sections, with the understanding to the county commission as well? We're building the infrastructure so that we have equitable facilities across the board throughout our system, with a plan that if the population starts growing, because right now Hickerson and East, they are sufficing with the footprint that they do have, but they don't have the equitable infrastructure. With the possibility, if it happens in 10, 15 years, there's a plan to be able to add on to it, to add that extra classroom. But we would be going back to the county commission again, which is the part nobody likes that idea of doing that, but it gets our kids at Hickerson and East Coffee the same equitable facilities that they have at our other schools.
That's something that I think is important to remember, is even if we change the boundaries and fix these growing problems, Hickerson and East are not bright and shiny places like, they are an atmosphere, but the buildings are old and they're tired, and we've worked on these other elementary schools, and these two deserve the same kind of love that the others have got. So regardless of how big we build something, we need to work on these. We can't just fix it by changing boundaries, in my opinion. That's not fair to these two schools.
And another thing, we've got to realize that Manchester City population is growing. We think that doesn't affect us. It does. All those kids come into our high school. We're gonna need another high school.
Yes.
We've got too many at our high school now. It's sad that our freshmen can't be in the same building, and we've got to think about that. We can't just sit here for 3 or 4 years thinking that everything's gonna be okay. I have a problem now that those freshmen cannot be in a 4-year high school. And the reason the Raider Academy was established to begin with is because the high school got overpopulated. There wasn't enough room for all of them. And so that's something that's gonna have to be thought about in the future. Coffee County, we're gonna have to have another high school. And,
You on the board, Jim? Because I thought the only reason I moved ninth grade over to Raider Academy was to block the city from taking the school.
no, I was up here at the central office when that happened, and we had a 9th grade wing at the high school, but there wasn't enough space for all the kids. And that was the solution that someone came up with, that could put the 9th graders there as a transition. And I'm not saying that it's not working, but we're one of the few high schools like that. And, you know, other kids at other schools experience the whole 4 years. And, you know, transporting back and forth with kids with athletic activities and so forth, it just seems reasonable that we need to consider in the future that there needs to be something addressed toward that too. Because, you know, if the city grows, the high school grows. Because they feed into us.
So off what you were just saying, what are you saying we need to do then with Hickerson and East Coffee?
This was just another,
So, okay, I didn't know if there was something that you were tying it to that,
no, I'm not, it doesn't have anything to do with what we're doing here.
okay.
But that's something that we need to consider in the overall picture, that when we start building program, we've got to consider that somewhere down the road, we're gonna have to do something with another high school.
$100 million. What's it gonna cost you?
It's worth it.
Yeah, it's just, oh.
Well, just
Jennifer
looking,
wants to,
100 million,
maybe,
yeah.
Probably more.
You got an ADM, you gotta match, every dollar we spend on these schools right here, we gotta match the Tullahoma and Manchester. So it's gonna cost us double what it actually is
Is that
gonna cost.
true?
That's-
And that's
we weren't quite sure with
it's
that.
absolutely
The
ridiculous.
capital costs,
It's
So if
the
it's
same.
50 million, it's gonna cost the county 100 million.
That is correct. That's the way it works.
Jennifer wants to talk about the needs that each got. She put together some documents for us. It's in your packet.
I did a little bit of research, and I talked to East Coffee and Hickerson, and I asked them just to give me some examples of current issues. I obviously agree with Mr. Shores. It seems silly to me to not just go ahead and make it bigger. I think that's what you were expressing. Maybe I put words in your mouth. I feel like we need to do the bigger one, and this is why. I don't know if anyone's looked at these yet, but they're already bursting at the seams. And they're Band-Aiding everything in a wonderful way. These people that work at these schools are very innovative on the things that they're doing to make this work, but these
So
are
are
a
you
lot of
talking,
problems.
3-section or 4-section?
I think at least 3. I would rather have 4, personally, but if we're already as full as these papers that we printed out, and I can read them if I need to read them, but y'all can read. If we're already this full at this moment, and we're projecting even the smallest amount of growth, I don't see how this is going to fix our problem unless we make it as big as possible. I
Well-
think the 4-section makes more sense.
I'm in agreement with Jennifer. I went out and spent some time at Hickerson as well. Amazed at how they're keeping it pulled together. but they are literally bursting at the seams, and they have physical problems that need to be addressed ASAP, in my opinion. And so, to me, it's a minimum of 3, because we are going to grow as a county. We can't say how fast we're going to grow, but I'd hate 3 years from now to go, oops, we needed more
It seems
space than what
silly.
we did.
It seems silly to not do
So-
at least the 3 sections.
At least the 3, to me, I'm for the 3 section. Now, as far as building a new school, that would be lovely, but I'm not sure we get that across right now. But I definitely think it's necessary to have the 3 section and project for growth.
Did we ever determine if the ADA applies to the capital projects? So they have to give the same amount to Tullahoma
And
and,
I'm pretty sure if we gonna ask for, like, it's what Mr. Kelly said. If we ask,
I'm asking the county finance director.
okay,
yeah,
You mean
I have
that's
some
right?
questions on that. it just doesn't seem like
Whoops.
capital projects like this should
the
apply.
last, well, I'm not gonna say that. After I say that, I mean, it might not be, because we have the middle school in Deerfield, I'm not sure how that worked.
To me,
You did
Yeah,
have
we
do-
need to get
you'd
some
have to do the
clarification on
addition
that, because
you
that
did on the
really
main
affects
building. When
things.
you built the new middle school, you definitely did.
I just don't remember.
I've not
I
been
think
part
we
of
need to
any
go early.
of the renovations. I'm gonna ask, and then as soon as I get an answer, I'll let you guys know.
Yeah,
So if
'cause
we don't build a new
'cause that's-
building, then
that's
that
an
doesn't
important question.
necessarily hit
I
it.
think it has to do with.
when we're talking about asking the county for money,
because I
is it
think
gonna
that's what
be
the
40 million, or is
city's
it gonna be 160 million?
And the moment we do this, we'll build a new high school.
Then we'll add on,
And the city may catch our high school then.
Yeah, I think we need to answer that question, I mean,
That definitely.
yeah,
I believe
They'll
that
be hoping that
Definitely deserves confirmation.
yeah.
When you said, what do we take to the county commission? I say you take them a 2-step proposal and let them decide what they want to do, how they want to fund it, Say, we recommend going to, a 3-section, bringing those 2 schools up to 3-section to match our other elementary schools, but give them the option of how they want to, put the monkey on their back if,
They
like,
can hear you.
well, but that gives them, that gives them.
Well, it gives them a choice.
That gives
what
them
they
the
feel
option.
like.
It's like if you only want to do the infrastructure, then know that in 5 years, we may be back asking for more money.
More money.
Or we can do this and we may be good for 15 years, So I
It's
mean,
only gonna
to
cost
me,
them.
when you go to the commission, you let them make that decision on how they want to approach it. But this is what, we have to have the infrastructure fixed, but, we recommend going to the 3 section, because then that brings all of us up, and, if we need to prolong, coming back for more money, we can do redistricting.
Because if they, yeah, because then, otherwise they have those mean, nasty Hickerson parents on their case.
Hey, I'm a lawyer also. I'm fighting for both these schools.
But looking at it from a business standpoint, if you got options, a lot of times you look at it and you go, well, it's gonna cost us a little more money here, but it's gonna save us a bunch of money in the future. Because the thing is, nothing's coming down in price, everything's going up. And it's
Sure.
going up quickly.
Yeah.
And it'd be much better off to spend a little extra money now and bring these schools up, and then it will be to wait 5 years, and that cost may double in 5 years. Who knows?
And
None of us
also,
know.
We want to be proud of these schools. We want them to be something we want to show off, something we're not ashamed of hiding all the boo-boos in them.
Well, I don't think we will lose that either way. We're gonna have, but ultimately, right now, somebody could come up and ask, what if we have this large subdivision or this group jump into this area, or we have this, or is the school system ready to take them on? Right now, it's pretty well, yes, all of our schools are except Hickerson and East.
Right.
Those are the 2 that's not there, but the other ones are ready. We're bring them on. We're ready to take them.
Does East Coffee not have any rooms that they're not using?
There are some rooms that,
There's one.
there are some rooms that they can use, yes.
Oh, what about an option of redistricting and using Normandy Lake as the boundary and building a new school in that area?
That's up to this board.
Well, I mean, I'm just throwing
Yeah,
out
I-
ideas.
Yes,
think
ma'am.
That's what the retreat's all about. Everybody throws out different things. and-
I think no matter what we do, we need to really look
Right.
at, and rezoning's not a
That's
very
what I have-
popular thing, but
But-
there may have to be some of that. But by the same token,
I'm sorry. I
it's
interrupted
okay.
you.
The infrastructure part for those children at East Coffee and at Hickerson.
Right.
I was going to go back to what Jennifer said. Either way, even if you build a new school and did what you just said, we still need to take care. They need a gym. They need a
Cafeteria.
They need some of those, a library. They need those key infrastructure parts. Either way, either way, if you added a new school somewhere else, those schools need that equitable facilities.
So you'd be spending, to upgrade, you'd be spending close to $40 million there in those two schools, plus a new school is, yeah, so that,
No, why would, you wouldn't be upgrading but one school, and you'd be building a new school.
You would be
You'd be upgrading
upgrading
two
East
schools.
and Hickerson.
Not if you build a new school.
They both have to be
If you,
updated.
if you put the boundary at Normandy Lake, and that's the Hickerson district, and build a new school for Hickerson, that would be the new Hickerson
Understand
district.
now, I
No,
understand
I
something you
wasn't
said.
talking about
Okay,
building a new
I see.
school and renovating it.
oh, okay.
No,
I see
I'm
what you're
saying a
yeah,
new
yeah.
school in place of the Hickerson school. And then all you would have to renovate would be East Coffee. And then
Understand.
you probably might have to redistrict some too, to make it equitable for the enrollments at the other schools. But, I mean, I've had lots of parents talking about that, saying, why don't y'all do something like that instead of just adding on to an old building? Let's look at the future, because, you could take part of the North Coffee population and, on that side of the lake, and it makes that Hickerson district more uniform.
That would be 60 million versus 40, I believe, if I looked at it right.
But you got something that you build it and they will come. You build onto it and they're gonna run away. That's just the way I look at it, because that building is old. And, I can't see throwing money at something that's that old. I'm just one person and that's my opinion.
Well, I'd say if we did build a new school and rezone that area, we need to get a new piece of land. Because from what I understand, that Hickerson land trying to build in the back, wasn't there some concern about water levels and things like that
I
that we
think
had looked at?
I think
It
the
was level.
topographic
It
was
was level.
good. It
Drainage
came back
is pretty good,
level.
Yeah.
But there's, I can speak, there's the back corner of the playground, it gets wet, but other than that, it might be just a drainage situation, so.
I think we all agree that Hickerson, that those kids and those teachers, everybody in the community deserves for it to be taken care of one way or the other. And I'm just one person, but I just prefer a new building to building on. Now, East Coffee, that structure is more up to date already, and you can build onto that and it still looks really good, similar to New Union and North. But,
What is that total?
Yeah, what does Hickerson do?
What, adding a new
41,
building
50?
is,
And
they was
east.
saying about 40 million, then adding on, or doing Hill, or East was another 21 if you went to 3 sections, so you're looking at
60
61,
million.
62 million.
Do y'all have adequate room out there, Vaughn, to dig, to build on to Hickerson, to build a new school?
Yeah, you could build a new school on the west side of that site, further back in, and do it and leave the existing Hickerson up and operational while you do that. Do your demolition during the summer, redo your paving the front. There's room to do it. We're gonna have to clear trees to do it on that site, obviously, but, yeah, there's room.
I think they provided us plans where they did the original presentation on that.
I know there's concerns on addition versus new, and new obviously is beautiful. But I know from doing hundreds of additions and renovation projects that both Hickerson and East Coffee will be fantastic after they're done, so I have less anxiety on that. The only reason, again, going back to the recommendation of 3-section, I'm gonna go back to the map here. We have a very balanced district here, and if you were to expand both East Coffee and Hickerson with additions for capacity up to 3-section, with your other four elementaries at 3-section right now, that would give you a total capacity of 2,340, which is 660 some more than what you have today, and over 500 what the Harpeth projections call for. And I hear what everybody's saying, that you think the Harpeth projections might be low, but that's still over the size of adding another elementary school just by expanding the 3 sections. So I said before, I always try and keep it on the fiscally conservative side, and by doing additions and renovations to 2 buildings that have some poor facilities that need to be upgraded, and increasing the capacity there so you have equitable capacity at each of the buildings, that really is putting you at a significant increase in total capacity over what Harpeth shows. And if you went to 3-section now, you wouldn't have to face that boundary adjustment until Hickerson is likely pushing at capacity, and then you may start by maybe even looking at just the boundary between North Coffee and Hickerson to deal with that. But over the next 10 years, you may have to revisit that just to find that balance if it's getting out of proportion. So it seemed like that 3-section model was the most cost-effective way to do it through additions and renovations. It gets you to that original question that you came to it with, which was, how do we make the gym and cafeteria and spaces at these buildings match other buildings? And it gives you the capacity to grow for a number of years and to monitor what that looks like. So it seems that, from my perspective, looking at it, that's your most conservative approach here in terms of making sure that you've got additional capacity for your growth as well as minimizing your costs on things.
Any more discussion?
Thank you, Holly. I think what we want and what we ask for and what we get might be 3 different things. I think we need to have a plan in mind. I mean, there's already been a few conversations with our friends down the street, and that has continued for another couple of conversations, and we need to continue to have conversation. I think we need to go into it with a couple scenarios. The answer April gives will be very instrumental. Have you found that out yet? To what our choices are. But I do think there's a big difference between what we want and what we're going to be funded for. And that's not judging, and I get it on both sides of it.
But I will say this, even though the rules are now that you can only divide land down to 5 acres,
Yes, ma'am.
it's selling like hotcakes. I mean, 5 acres, $135,000 in Coffee County. And that just happened this past week. Anytime something comes on the market in Coffee County, now, you go to Warren, it's a different price. It's lower. But for some reason, Coffee County, I guess it's our location here by the interstate, our closeness to Murfreesboro, Chattanooga, Nashville. You put it on the market, and it's gone. And even though it's 5-acre tracts, that's still bringing people in here. And maybe bringing a different clientele, you might say, because people that can afford $135,000 for their building site, you're bringing in people that's an upper income level. So there's 2 ways to kind of look at that. And also, you've got to have a perk site anyway. So in the past, you could, even though we could divide down to 0.8 of an acre, there had to be a perk site on it. And I don't understand why all the hoopla was, because it was already a lot of those parcels had to be acre or two anyway, so.
That's what they said, to
I
stop
know.
growth and protect agriculture land in Coffee County. Exactly what they said.
Well, Ms. Frida, if you find that land like that, you call me and we'll go take a ride because I'd like to go look at it. Not that I can afford it. I'd love to.
No,
Yeah.
I wish I could find more of it because it sells so quickly. This was the East Coffee area
Yes, ma'am.
that just went under contract, so, East Coffee, saying East Coffee is not gonna grow. It's got the boundaries of East Coffee are, New Union is surrounded. Unless you redistrict, New Union's gonna stay the same because but East Coffee's on that side of the county where there's all kinds of property out toward Warren County, Viola, and all out in there. And used to, nobody wanted out that far. You couldn't, but now it's changed completely, and people are wanting it. Well, one reason is because there's water, there's high-speed internet, and that's one reason why people are gravitating toward the country, because they have the same amenities.
Okay, is this something that we need to put on our next board agenda, basically for a vote to see what direction the board wants to go to take it to the county commission? Because that's
It's
the only way I
time.
know to go about it.
It's the only way we're going to move forward.
It is,
And
and
we
we need
need
to
to
move
move
forward. And maybe Mr. Ballard and I can go visit again. I'd like to set that up and do that, but just gotta figure
Renovation
out.
or new, right? That's the choices.
Do what?
Renovation or new, that's the choices, right?
Well,
And the
With
size.
with rezoning will have to be part of it.
it's also,
That'd be
well,
more-
not
either which way
necessarily.
it'd be a part of
It
right?
can be, but like Ms. Peacock Hodge said, it could be also the size. Do we go 3 sections? Do we stay with 2 sections? Do you renovate? Do you do new? Basically, that's the kind of thing that needs to be in the motion when it's decided. But Ms. Yance, you're right. We
We got to move.
we've got the study now. We need to use it and move on what direction the board wants to move. And
Could we offer it as, not as 2-section or 3, could we offer it as 3-section or 4? They can make the choice among those.
absolutely, and it also it
It's
could
all in
be.
how the motion's made.
Yeah.
It can also be what Mr. Coon said is take it down and then they basically let the county commission, but that is what this board was voted in
Right.
to do the job here. And what do we need as a school system? They're voted in as for a different reason on it.
Right.
So you gotta keep that in mind as well. In some ways I understand what you're saying. It's almost passing the buck. And I don't know, you gotta
Well,
think
they're
that
going to
through yourself.
decide anyway.
Do
So
what?
they're going to decide anyway.
And ultimately they will,
So we just need to present what we need,
what we need,
and,
what the board feels like we need.
yeah.
They're
In
gonna
our
also ask
conversa-
us what our contribution is gonna be.
Right.
So, and there are some state funds available that we don't know if we
There are.
qualify
I
for.
think we would need to make a recommendation, because just the few number that we got in here, we're all on a different page.
Right.
If we don't come up with our primary recommendation, where there be other options, because I don't know how many is on the commission, but everybody's gonna have a different, that's,
It's a good point.
well, I'm thinking, if we can come to consensus of what our number one choice would be,
Yeah.
and then go from there to
'Cause
them.
They can always come
And they
back
could
and
always have,
say,
yeah.
tell us what
Like
you
Mr. Coon
what you
said,
can
they
live
could-
without.
Yeah.
But
They
if
could-
we
they could
ask
have
for
these
so
other options
little,
to look at, but this is what we prefer, but here's other options.
A layered
Mhm.
question.
And another thing to think about is Hickerson is our STEM school. They can bring people in. They can pull people from Tullahoma and from around here that want their child to attend a STEM school. So if we make Hickerson bigger and they have the opportunity to be this bright, shiny thing in our county that wants to pull other people in, that's room for growth right there. So
And think about this, what if you had a brand-new building that was a STEM school? Think of what that would do. I mean, that would really be a bright, shining star.
the reason that I feel like their innovation would be great is because I've seen Wold's things and they make things look brand new. Normally I would agree, I want something brand new, but this is why we chose Wold, because they make things look so perfect and fun and happy. So I feel like they can do that.
If I had to choose between a new school getting approved and a three-classroom school being approved, I'd go for the three-classroom because I have a feeling we could get that passed quicker than we could get a new school.
And I guess I'm coming from years ago, whenever we built onto Jones, and what a fiasco that was. And the county spent all that money building onto an old building, and look where it is now. And I'm not saying that would happen to Hickerson, but it just left a bad taste in my mouth that you know, when you still got an old school, the core of it is still gonna be old.
But a brand new high school sounds awfully nice, so maybe we
How long,
can
how long has Jones been closed?
Right, yeah,
save it for
How
them.
many-
good point.
Probably 25,
Yeah.
23, 25
years.
years.
No, no,
Yes.
it's still open. I ain't been out of school 25 years and it's still open after.
They were selling it when I started as a principal, and that was in 2003.
You're old, Robert.
So here we are after getting rid of a school, having to tackle the problem in the area with another school or expansion of the school.
I remember then, there was the option of building a new school, combining Jones and Hickerson, which would have been
That's what we're
probably
doing
the best thing, in hindsight, that would have been the best thing to have done. And, you know, everybody has their own thoughts, and that's what happened. But I want, you know, kudos to Manchester City. They use their funds to purchase land, and that's, they may never use it for 20 years down the road, but they've got it. And that, you know, you have to think in terms of that,
Next
too.
door to a battery plant or a factory,
About as thoughtful as a landfill.
So we'll come up, Mr. Shores and I will come up with scenarios and email them out and ask you all to look at those and pray about it, and we'll tackle that in the next.
And what we probably will need to do still, I kind of like the way we did here with Hickerson and East Coffee. What direction do you want to go with Hickerson? What direction do you want to go with East Coffee? So that it could be specific, you know, specified on those two different ones.
And we would need to formally adopt, this is what we want to do at the board meeting, or the recommendation we want to make at a board meeting, and,
And while you were gone, that's what was mentioned.
yeah, okay. yeah,
So, yes.
Yes, sir.
You're
The next
correct.
board meeting,
I
we gotta
missed-
keep
I
moving.
missed out on that, but,
No, that's fine. That's fine.
but I didn't have any
We
choice.
discussed it. Okay, Vaughn, do you have anything else on this?
Is there anything else you'd like us to look at or study? Or does this kind of give you all the information in terms of what you're thinking of?
The only thing I would ask is, I noticed that when you added on to Hickerson, you added on a music room. We now have art teachers. Is there a little space in there that you could designate for an art classroom?
We can go back and look at that. When we started this a year ago, you didn't have art.
No,
So
but now
we got
we
art.
have it in
Things
all the
changed.
schools need that.
And maybe because what we do is we sort of facilitate the conversation, we bring it to a close. I'd like to state this for you and see if this is what it sounds like. If you're going to the county, this might be the storyline. We know that we have two buildings that have inequitable common spaces in our cafeterias and our gyms, and that's where we started this. At a minimum, we need to update Hickerson and East Coffee to accommodate those spaces so that they're comparable to the other buildings. At the same time, we also know that we're experiencing growth in the county. These buildings are also inequitable in the fact that they're both two-section. We could remain with two-section at these buildings and look at significant boundary adjustments throughout the school system, but that would be a significant hardship for us. What we would like to do is look at bringing these up to three-section, which would match the other buildings. That would give us additional capacity to handle growth for the short term in the future. As we look at that, we've also looked at, would it make sense to replace one or both of these buildings with a new building? Considering the fact that most of the growth that we're seeing is in the south, and in between Tullahoma and Manchester, Hickerson would be most viable for replacing with a four-section building, which would give us even more capacity to go in. Obviously, each of these options increases in price, and that's what we're looking at and what we're coming to you today with the recommendation of X, and that's what you fill in as a board. So it shows minimum up to maximum in terms of price and capacity, and then as a board, you can decide where you want to land. Does that sound reasonable?
Very reasonable, thank you.
Could you text all that to Mr. Hargrove?
We'll take the presentations that we put together and all these different components and make that sort of your recommendation language, and that's what you can discuss at the next board meeting, and we'll finalize it so that you can have that conversation at the county level.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vaughn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, Mr. Cherry or Mr. Griffin, do y'all have any questions or anything you want to add in?
Just want to tell everyone, we're available 24/7. If we need anything, Kevin and Scott know how to get a hold of us, and we'll be glad to do anything you think you need for us to do. I think this discussion has been very constructive. It's been a good discussion. I think you're getting to a point where you're almost ready to come up with a solution to your problems.
Okay.
So we're available if you need us, and we're right up the road.
I would like to make one more statement. I think it's going to be inevitable that we'll have to redistrict somewhat. And the history behind how all this redistricting came about was when Deerfield was built, like you said. New Union was downsized, and I don't know who did the boundaries or whatever, but they were working so that there would be enough enrollment at Deerfield to warrant that school being there, I'm sure. New Union was downsized. In fact, on the farm I live on, my mother's house is zoned for New Union. My house is zoned for East Coffee. My brother's across the road is Deerfield. All that area out in there at one time is New Union. I consider it New Union. There was spaces over on so there are boundaries that I think could be stretched that would not be upsetting to a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? If that ever came to that point that they needed enrollment, needed to take enrollment away from Deerfield or East Coffee. But redistricting is a big thing for people, and that was a big thing for New Union to be downsized. And to this day, I still have people fussing at me like I had something to do with it. But that's just a background, since you weren't in here at this time. But that's why New Union is so small. And the boundaries were further out before the new building was built. Well, it went all the way to Cannon County line.
I think for Deerfield, they actually pulled students from North Coffee, East Coffee, New Union, were your main lines.
Right, and then the population was more concentrated in the New Union because there was, the north end of the county over in East Coffee, Viola, across, with Cannon County line back down the north, there weren't that many, it wasn't that populated, so it did pull a lot from the New Union area. Because especially there on Woodbury Highway, Goose Pond, over on Parker Road, all those kids go to Deerfield. Mm-hmm. And when they originally they came to New Union.
Okay. Any other comments before we move on? And
Thank you.
Thank you, Vaughn. I hope you have a good vacation, all right?
Thank you very much for taking time for us today, accommodating.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
It's raining again.
All right.
Gary,
So Melissa, you wanted to do a dessert break, is that what?
do we have to share that with you? He was the man.
That's crazy.
Also, I think we're gonna have plenty of, why not?
That's crazy.
Y'all, after the board meeting.
Penalizing even the people.
Okay, that works. We can just move on. I'm good with moving on. I'm good with moving on.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
No, I mean,
just,
if somebody wants something, there's plenty, I've left it out.
Okay.
I've got everything.
So if you want to take the opportunity to run back and get some dessert, that's
we
fine.
talking about
Otherwise,
this again?
we will move on.
I gave the copies I had, so.
Oh.
Make copies and give to
Oh, okay,
everybody.
great, thank you.
That's all it was tonight. It's okay. I need to get my head in the game. It's okay.
Okay.
These are, papers that Mr. Coon asked me to make copies of and pass out to
Oh,
everyone.
okay.
So he wanted everybody to have,
All right. Mr. Hargrove, you want to talk about strategic plan?
Do we need about a 5-minute break before we head home?
We can take a 5-minute.
And I'll
Beth
get
raised her
things-
hand. Let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll do the home stretch here.
the furniture.
Jennifer told me
There's a
to
lot
do
to get there.
Don't damage our new furniture.
She made me do it. But it did get everybody's attention.
Without a doubt,
They got Kelvin right in his seat.
we gotta take care of our furniture, Denise.
Well, hey, we know how
There's no
important
dent there. All right,
That was good.
all right, thanks for sticking with us. I guess so we're gonna talk about the strategic plan, the one we keep putting off. So, our 5-year plan, I guess. So, Mr. Hargrove, you wanna
Yes, I
lead
do.
in, give us our lead in?
You have 2 small packets. One of them is a narrative. I believe the Roman number 1, desired school safety. That, we'll talk about that here in a little bit, so put that one away. The one we're gonna talk about, it has draft at the top in nice red letters. So this is a non-finished document. Historically, I was given by our board chairman, Mr. Ballard, this 27-page document that has SMART goals in it, and they were very measurable, and the responsible party and the KP, which are the goals, and the resources needed for this. I took this and condensed it into 6 goals. It has since been condensed into 5, and that's where we are today. So we have gone from this to this.
Oh, and don't forget that before that spreadsheet, there's this like bullet point narrative document that was totally useless. So,
Yes, sir, there was.
so that was a start, and then you
The-
kind of took
yeah.
it the next step, and
Thank you.
yeah, so.
So here is what's been whittled down to, and this is our 5-year plan. This is our vision. We're going to revisit this every year. My goal is we have this complete by some part of next year, January, February, or March. We have completed our strategic plan, and it is operational. At the top, that's our vision statement. I'm not going to insult you and read to you. Our mission statement, nothing's changed there, and that's our motto, learning today for brighter tomorrow. Below that gives the purpose of our strategic plan. This is our why. These are our 5 whys and our central goals and thoughts and effort fall into these 5 categories. They're printed in bold. Student outcomes, staff, support, stakeholders, and safety. So we went from this huge document and we've combined everything and we have fit everything into those 5 S's. Student outcomes, staff, support, stakeholders, and safety. So this will scope how we use our resources, physical and physical, and make sure we have environments that are positive for student successes in our school system. Number 1, goal 1, student outcomes. Provide excellent and equity in instructional programs to maximize student outcomes. That's what got me so excited a while ago when Miss Jonah started talking. That's what gets me going. Instruction, the magic in the classroom, and there are different ways we deliver that. Some of these are not going to be measurable outside as a formal KP goal, statistical, but we can always add, we can always remove. This is not set in stone. Take a few minutes, review objectives 1 through 4 on there. As we finish up reading, I will share this document with each of you. Feel free, just make sure it's highlighted. Just make sure it's highlighted, and please don't let anything go away. Make sure it's highlighted. Those data, TCAP, district-wide TCAP performance rates, we can adjust those, move those. Those were what was in the original. That's also part of our my evaluation as well. So it's kind of knitted together. We, advanced placement will have a numerical something attached to it where it is measurable. The CTE, as you look at that, our CTE program, there's some change in the readiness. Our state is changing that. And you have that in italicized. I have the original. Thank you. And you can see some of those writings, cost roughly 40. We want to continue to build on this. We want to have a goal for our junior ROTC, whether it's in recruitment or trying to set numbers for placement into the military. Then following all the things that we set as our objectives that are very measurable, we have our rationale. Coffee County Schools will provide all students with high-quality academic experiences that include effective instructional techniques, use of strong curriculum, and purposeful assessments. These experiences will prepare students to be lifelong learners and provide a pathway that exposes students to a variety of career options, college opportunities, or military enlistments. By providing these opportunities, students will be educated for success as productive citizens. Fair enough? Okay. Once again, this is only a draft. Your input is welcome. Feel free when I share this to make changes. Goal number 2, hire and retain high quality. Number 2 is staff. Hire and retain high quality employees in all departments in the system. Fair enough? Good goal. All right, we're rolling. We're talking about recruiting classified and certified personnel in all systems, utilizing all the advertisement resources we have. Selection process that hires the most qualified person. Provide competitive compensation and benefits that are fair and appropriate for job assignment. You tip your own hat there. I believe you all have done that as a Board of Education. Follow all requirements set by school board policy, state and federal law regarding employment practices. Staff will be provided opportunity to participate in an annual Tennessee Educator Survey, which will provide direct feedback to our administrators and our board members on a series of key issues facing our schools. The Vanderbilt puts that out. It is a yearly thing. We'll share it with the board. We share it with our principals. That's great feedback because that survey is pretty long. We had about a 54% participation rate in the same survey last year. Hopefully we can increase that because it gives data on how we can, things we need to improve on, or things we already do well, according to our faculties and staffs. Y'all need me to read the rationale, teach, or y'all good? Thank you, Mr. Coons.
No, we're good.
Number 3, supports. Creates a high-quality learning environment where there are a ton of things in how we support all the great things that go on in our classrooms and on our athletic fields. First of all, you see budget. Ms. Melson has looked through this. This is a approved statement by Ms. April. Professional development. We're going to develop this one a little bit more. You can see in that one, you see utilizing the TISA outcome bonus. That will go back into PD. We have funneled that money, or trying to funnel that money back into professional development. Things that Ms. Sizemore does, things that our academic coaches do, those type professional developments. Number 3, capital projects. We just got through spending an hour and 15 minutes talking about a huge capital project. And that's, we want our facilities to be nice for our students and appealing in drawing. Technology is number 4. And finally, number 5 is nutrition. Provide an efficient nutrition program to support student success in and out of the classroom. Underneath that's a rationale, all kind of wadded up in one paragraph where the supports, reviewing the supports. Number 4, stakeholders. We want to be able to establish opportunities for family and community involvement and support at all levels of the school district. Okay. How do we communicate with our parents? How do we provide our parents information concerning our students' attendance, their progress, their learning in general? How do we get their survey? Well, that's where this other sheet comes in. There's another packet. The month of September, we have delivered a Title I / strategic type plan. These are the things we asked our parents in that survey. Okay? This is a summary of the information that we received back from our parents that participated in this survey. We will throw this survey out again in another few months. But these are all the things that came out of the survey. Give you a few minutes to go through that because it's going to catch your eye. These are what our parents think. In the area of safety, anything jump at you that we've talked about already? What was it, Miss Holly? Metal detectors. Metal detectors.
Removing classroom numbers, wouldn't that make it a little harder on students?
Yes, ma'am. And the other one was, it's interesting, the third bullet point down was scanners, badge scanners. You know, we're doing some things as far as our Raptor to improve check-in as far as people that are not part of our faculty and staff. We're also requiring badges for the big, oh, sorry. Anyway. Shatter-resistant glass. So those are some safety things. I won't get into all that because I don't want Mr. Randy to kind of have to turn the program off. But it was interesting. I found this very interesting to read. The other area, second area, suggestion for teacher recruitment and retention. There's a section on compensation, support and environment, and recruitment strategies according to our parents. There are some pretty valuable information in there, in my opinion. Single most important improvement over the next 5 years, numero, is safety. And I applaud you all because I think we have taken great strides to continuously improve our safety in our school system, and we will continue to do that. That is part of our strategic plan. We had a training earlier this week. Ms. Tanya, would you like to share about it? Well, you really can. He has to turn it off.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah. Well, very well. Academics and curriculum, infrastructure and facility. But those are what our parents said. Last but not least, our fifth goal is safety. We want to ensure our students and employees are provided with safe and secure environment that's free from threat or harm. We have 6 objectives in there. And those ought to seem very fresh in your mind as you read them, because we're trying to accomplish.
I have to congratulate the staff, because even as we go through these, and you, Mr. Hargrove, because I see where so many of them you're already implementing. So I just want to say kudos on that, and for the staff.
Parents were, and it's still open through the month of. Parents. These are stakeholder survey.
For some staff, maybe parents.
Could be. Could be. I guess technically.
Probably are,
Okay,
yeah.
touche.
Just saying, right?
Touche, just saying. It could be.
Just
It
saying.
could be.
Because it's an
Was
anonymous
this the
survey,
survey
right?
that was on, link on Facebook?
Yes,
You could
ma'am.
take
So
that.
it could really be anybody. I mean,
Could be.
anybody. It doesn't have to be a parent, it could be anybody.
It could be. Could be.
And they could take it as many times as they wanted, right?
Sure.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I thought this was interesting on academics and curriculum, where it says concerns were raised about academics taking priority over sports. Usually it'd be the other way around.
Yes,
People
ma'am.
worried about sports taking
Yeah.
You
taking
made reference to that one. didn't you?
priority over that. Oh, did you? I'm sorry. I'm
I
so
wasn't, I
sorry.
just said that, you know, we can educate without
Excuse
sports.
me. Excuse me.
That is referencing a prior statement in the meeting.
And I also, of course, I had to take that call, but I also see that metal detectors is important, and that's
Sure.
something I brought up
I
before too.
I found some value in our parent part of it.
Academics took precedence over.
Yeah.
Was that you taking the survey, Frida?
Now I need to go take it.
Punching it 5 or 6
Yeah.
times. for a
Coach
medal.
Donnelly at Middle always said that, football was number 2 and academics were number 1 at Middle Tennessee, but. Gotcha.
Priorities.
Anyway, we've had a lot go on today, and the last thing I want to do is read to you all. I believe it condenses things. This is a work in process. Our leadership and our staffs will continue to make adjustments. Yeah.
Trouble.
Yeah. Continue to make adjustments and develop our goals so they're a little more measurable on some things. As many things as we can, but I think it's a much better, we've gotten to a pretty good place.
Well, I think what we need to do is for our next work session, which is not scheduled yet, but probably in November sometime, I suppose, is to take this, mark it up, because I can see where I think we'd probably want to convert some of these more to SMART goals, where we
Yes, sir.
apply specific dates and measurable, things. And I'm really big on KPIs, but as you know, but so we can really measure and come up with, know how we're doing at any point in time.
Yes, sir.
So, but I would say, if everybody can mark it up and bring it, we'll just put a slot into our next work session and kind of hammer on this until we get it done.
It is, and our staff or our team up here has already made some changes. We're headed that, like especially in the first one, which are student outcomes. Finding on ROTC, a numerical, setting a goal there. I think those are good things we need to do, and that needs to be
Yeah.
part of this.
Well, we did find out at the summer law session when that the strategic plan on the state looks for that in certain circumstances,
Yes, sir.
So we got to have it, and it's got to be updated. And the one that's on our website right now is that really old one that
Yes,
if
sir.
you punch the 5-year plan at the top of the Board of Education, it brings up that old one that's really out of date and not very useful. So we want to replace that. So
That's what I was gonna say. There was a fall retreat a couple years ago where our 5-year plan was called a box to be checked.
Yep.
So I think this is amazing, and I'm just really proud of everyone that worked on this. It's
Well,
great.
thank you.
So,
We're very blessed. Our
really
team did a
awesome.
great job. We've got less is more in this.
Yeah.
And sometimes you wanna add things because you're trying to,
Yeah,
put words into numbers. But anyway, it's not perfect, but I'm proud
It's
of
really
it.
great.
And we need, this is what drives our boat, you know?
It's
Yeah.
important, and it was important then. and
That's a
it
good
wasn't
start.
seen as that,
Yeah.
so
It's a
I
good
think
start.
it's great.
And everything we talked about in this day of spending time together, I can put into one of these 5 categories. Makes it easy, just keeps us focused, keeps us, hey, how we're gonna fund it, how we're gonna support it, are we gonna fund it, are we gonna support it? So, kinda answers all the questions. But we have a great team doing great things, I appreciate
Yeah.
you all taking,
comments are welcome, you know, and get them back to, don't make me nag you, don't make Mr. Hargrove nag you.
well, I'm gonna
Don't make
share them
Melissa
so
nag
you
you.
can make your changes in the document. Just don't make
Oh, yeah.
anything go away, okay? I'll keep a copy or two just in case that happens. But just, highlight and whatnot, we wanna, everybody's opinion is important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do that. So, yeah, it's important to get it done.
Yes,
We-
sir.
You know, the state requires it, so it's important to get it done, and
And
we've
if we
kind of
can
kicked the
get this
can down the
done
road.
by-
Yeah.
Rolling into 25, 26 and have this through, that will be a
Because
big weight off our,
it's going to guide us,
Yes, sir.
especially if we have specific goals that
Yes, sir.
are measurable. It's going to guide us. All right. So, any questions on the comments on that? So,
I'm so grateful that you took it from this down to that. Because every time I looked at this and Tom said, we're gonna go over this, I just wanted to cry.
well, it's kind of like, yeah, so Mr. Hargrove took that on, and I appreciate that.
little.
That was just kind of a first step,
Well,
converting.
yeah,
Because
it
it was a
was
lot of
just-
work to convert from that text document into that.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so any comments or anything like that? So everybody's tired and ready to go home?
Yeah, you
No,
can't
yeah.
give us a specific color because Jen can't stay. She can't color in the box. She'd use all her colors.
I don't use technology too much. I don't know that I even know how to do that. I'll be the one that made the whole thing go away. So I'm gonna write my stuff down.
no, you just do yours by,
I'll just write.
Back
yeah,
up,
you
have
can
a
just
backup.
do a hard copy. It'll be good.
Do a hard copy, give it to me, and
That's what I do. I have carefully made my life where I don't need a computer,
Melissa's
so.
looking worried back there.
I'll take care of it. Just do your hard copies and turn them in to me at the board meeting, and I'll make it for the work session.
All right. Yes, sir.
Mr. Shore, you want to share how the gym's going?
I can, yes.
I do, because I'd like to go see it today.
Okay. They got started on the gym last Monday, doing the renovations to it. They're turning out well. Looks like everything's going well with it, so.
That's
they-
exciting.
They've gotten several of one side cut.
Yeah.
They're hoping to finish that one side up this week. I didn't make it out there today, of course, because I'm here. But hopefully they'll have it done this week and start on the other side and move on with it. But everything's looking good.
Long time in coming. That's awesome. So,
Does it look a whole lot different or pretty much the same if you didn't know that it had happened since we chose the
Well,
samest?
when it's all done, you shouldn't really recognize that there's a whole lot.
Yeah,
I mean, it's gonna be different, but you don't want to recognize
yeah.
that it's been a renovation. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Now, when they change out the bleacher planks that are broken, I'm afraid that it's gonna show up.
Yeah.
The coloring's
Well,
gonna show up.
hopefully it'll all have bottoms sitting on it and we won't notice.
Well, you gotta remember, you also have the side piece that you're seeing from the
Yeah.
side. So if it's broken, it would be replaced as well.
Okay.
But, I mean, the aisles are just, they're wider and they haven't actually put in the actual, handrail,
Handrails.
but the piece is there for them to intercept. Does that make sense?
They're not doing anything to the floor where it's real nasty. The steps and,
That was not any part of what you're supposed to do, no.
It's seasoned, Miss Brenda. It's seasoned.
next capital project.
It's in a nice gym, so don't want to get water on their floors.
Long time in coming. All right. So, is that
But they are turning out really.
okay?
It's
Anything else?
It's coming well.
No, sir.
All right, a couple of quick announcements is December 5th at 5 o'clock is the Christmas dinner at the high school. So we will have the culinary arts prepare the dinner for us. Everybody seemed to be big on that. And don't forget, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, sorry.
And then a special called meeting tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And that's basically for the sole purpose of putting together the DHA. We're getting a request for an appeal of a disciplinary action. So we need to put together a DHA committee, and Mr. Hargrove has some recommendations for that. So we're gonna need to have a special called meeting to put that together, and that will be happening tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So, and that's all I got. So anything else?
Thank you, Miss Melissa. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, good evening.
So after board meeting tomorrow night, I'd like to go in there and just, have a little fellowship and just finish everything up, so.
If you gotta come out here for a special called meeting, then we're gonna make it worth your while.
That's right. I have leftover desserts and, yeah.
Thank you, Melissa.
All right, thanks, everyone. I
We
think that,
have one funding, Miss April found out about the funding on the buildings in the county as far as sharing those.
oh, the 80, okay.
So it will be ran through the Rural Debt Service Fund, which is how the county funds our buses. So it will not be split between the cities and the city schools, so.
That's good
Yay.
news.
Still good.
That's really good. Okay, good news. All right, there you go. That alone was worth
Thank you,
being
April.
here. All right, thanks, everybody. We will see you